I always wondered, why is it not here to fuck spiders? Of all things, why a spider?
I think because of how ridiculous that concept is.
I think it would be funnier to say to fuck a fly. Like, put some alliteration in it.
Yeah, that's true. We can change it. We can change it to whatever you want.
Yeah, I used to actually say ready to fuck this puppy,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
was,
yeah, yeah. No, no, no,
I
no,
don't
no.
know where that
No, no,
came
no.
from.
Don't, yeah. I do, I always do enjoy, like, when someone else is helping you to do the work. A classic phrase my dad would say is, you're rooting the cat, I'm just holding it. So, that's a cute little one. Another animal-related little jibe.
Goodness me. We are a strange people.
Yes, we are a strange people, which is why I love us.
There is something unique about us. Anyway, hi, Kate.
Hello, Dominic. Good to see you. Good to chat to you as usual.
Yes, I need to see you today. I need a good laugh because my life is something else at the moment.
Something out of a storybook?
Yeah,
Unreal.
I'm not vaping, smoking, drinking, or eating anything that brings me joy and kills me quicker. So
that sounds awful.
Yeah.
But good for you, and I'm very proud of you. I'm on a similar journey. The alcohol was one of the things. It was a moment last week when I was emptying my recycling into the outside bin. And I thought, oh gosh, I hope that the neighbors just think I was collecting cans as a save the environment type enterprise. Either that or I've entertained 60 people over 5 days. It was an embarrassing cacophony of bottles into the bin.
That clink, clink, clink. Well, here's to us on a health kick in the middle of winter.
Here is my water. Chin chin to you.
Alrighty, so let's get into our usual.
Let's do it.
Housekeeping. Let's whip through it real quick, folks. You know the drill. It is shittin.bricks top podcasts. Please go check us out. TikTok, Instagram are our favorites, so go find us there.
Go find us. Come
and
say hi.
while you're, yeah, exactly, and say hi. Like, we love hearing from y'all.
Yes.
Give us your, like, what are you afraid of, or give us a story.
Yeah, I was pretty excited because we'll get a notification when some of our reels have a certain number of views. And the past few weeks, we've got a few notifications that our reels are, over the 1,000 views, which is quite cool on Instagram. That's for us. We're just plodding along with our little potty. That's quite cool to see those come in. So keep engaging with us, and yes, reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, please. And while you're at it, Patreon, it's the way that Kate and I keep the lights on and keep paying to host all this stuff because, it's not free. So
what?
If you got it, yeah, I know.
That's wild.
If you've got an extra $5, and you would if you were joining Kate and I on not drinking alcohol.
Oh, God, more than $5. Whee!
Yeah. Chuck it our way and become one of our brickies. And that way you get early access to all the podcasts. And each week you get a bonus episode. And Kate, I've got a doozy.
I can't wait. I think our bonus episodes have been some of our best stuff. Mine last week was when I hadn't eaten and I was a good 3 to 4 glasses down of a red. Obviously, that won't be the same tone for this evening. However, good stuff, guys. It's bloody good gags.
You're missing out.
$5.
Yeah, so just some extra bucks. Go check us out on Patreon. Again, shittin.bricks.podcast. And while you're at it, at the end of the episode, we'd really love if folks could stick around and give us a 5-star rating or review, because it goes a huge way in getting our stuff in front of new listeners.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of our shtick this year. And I think we're up to something like 20 plus something reviews on Spotify. I don't know how many on Apple Podcasts because I hate Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, I don't use that either. But yeah, maybe we've got like 1 million and we just wouldn't even know.
Exactly.
But still, keep going. Whatever you're listening on, rate, review. Love to hear from you.
Yeah. And if you want to get in touch with us, it's just shittin.bricks.podcast@gmail.com. it's like the same stuff, folks. You know this by
You
now.
do,
So
but we love to tell you. We love to remind you. It's our little warm up to our eppies.
exactly. But before we move on to our episode this week, we have got our Boopod Network feature podcast. And this week, the lovely Michelle.
Hey, Michelle.
I love that name. Michelle is such a great name to say.
Yeah.
Satisfying. Michelle. But Michelle is...
We both just got a bit lost in that name for a second.
Michelle.
Oh, Michelle, do stop. No, don't stop, Michelle.
Whisper in Kate's ear and then you'll...
No, don't. I fell off my chair.
But Michelle is the host of Paranormal Exposed, slightly different to what Kate and I do here because it's all about paranormal activity. But if that's your shtick, you should go lap it up.
Do it. Rock and roll, baby.
With our old buddy Michelle.
Yes, Michelle. We're going to lap you up, baby.
Okay, Kate, we are officially 1 minute and 16 seconds over for...
Oh, my God.
Housekeeping.
Housekeeping. Housekeeping. It's over. Oh, fresh towels for everyone.
And hot American donuts.
Hey, Dom.
Okay.
Have you got a story for us this week?
I just so do. Oh, my goodness.
What are the odds?
This one I'm really, really excited about.
Okay, hit me with it. I can't wait. Let's do this.
Well, I'm not excited that it happened, but I'm excited to share it. So, before we start, I'm not sure if we've told folks officially, maybe we have, or we've maybe alluded to it, but I have a new job. I'm working. Which is exciting.
It's
I get paid now.
Oh, I love that. I love getting paid.
Yeah, I wasn't so good at being unemployed, but 2 months was enough, and it was more stressful than working, which says something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been there for almost 2 months now, and it's with the EPA, which is the same as the EPA in probably most places. EPA.
EPA.
EPA. Which means Environment Protection Authority. So I work for the government now.
Oh, join the club.
I'm practically James Bond, Kate.
You are. You really are. Yeah.
But because of that, I thought I would do a story that's loosely based in my new line of work.
Oh, I'm here for this. Let's go.
But at first, I need to give you a bit of a hint. And we love a phobia, Kate. So Here is the phobia for this week's episode. So toxophobia, or less commonly known as iophobia, is a fear of being poisoned.
We've never done that one.
I know.
We've definitely,
right?
I know. And this is the thing, because we are 80 episodes into our podcast, we have touched on stuff previously, and we would have talked about a heck of a lot of gear. But this is not ringing bells as a solid episode. I'm so excited for this. All right, hit me. Yeah. Fear of being poisoned.
Yeah, I mean, I did Isdale Woman, and that was like possible poisoning. Like, we've done things where we talk about poisoning, but we haven't talked about toxophobia. So TOXI phobia. Makes a lot of sense. So despite poisoning is a minor problem in the United States and other developed countries, it gets significant coverage when poisoning is reported, lending people to think that poisonings are really common or even unavoidable, causing depression that becomes a fear. So people think that like poisoning happens all the time. There's poisoning warnings on like
everything.
Yeah.
Which was definitely the you know, most of the things you see on household products and stuff like that, it's like someone did this one time and then they had to print this on the label so that some other idiot didn't do the same thing.
Exactly. Or, you know, around children, which obviously
of course, makes sense.
Big deal.
Big deal, kids.
Big deal.
Big deal.
Who needs them?
Who needs them? Can't live with them. You can't bloody live with them, right?
Now, another cause of fear is the one who was poisoned and survived. So a primary symptom of toxophobia is suspicion. meaning sufferers would not trust a friend, for instance, to cook food for them or give them a drink because sufferers may worry that a friend may add toxins to it.
I am very, very on top of anybody who's cooking chicken for me. So if it's chicken, if it's not cooked until it's so dead and dry, paranoid. I'm paranoid that I'm going to have explosive diarrhea at the worst times. So I can understand that.
Now, toxophobes, they may trust grocery stores because things are packaged.
Yep.
So on and so forth. You may go back to the same grocery store over and over or build up loyalty to a brand, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But they will not, or less likely, to trust restaurants, cafeterias, food stops.
Mm-hmm.
And like, Kate, I found this that I just thought of you because it's not like poison, but it kind of is. And I know this is your...
It's big for me. It is. It is my jam for sure. I ate a New York street hot dog. And definitely, I was like, I have to do it. It's an institution. So I ordered a hot dog and I split it with Mum. So I was like, well, at least if we'll both get sick. But then...
both go down.
Yeah. But then it was arguably one of the best things I've ever had in my mouth. So I ordered another one after and ate that. And I was like, I need to put a pin in that because otherwise, had I really thought it, I never would have tasted that street hot dog. Yeah. I never would have tried it. I never would have just got my street meat. And yes, it's a hot dog, not a lot of actual food in it. But at the same time, I was just like, I never would have experienced this standing on the side of the street, dropping mustard and sauce all over the ground in New York City if I didn't just give it a crack. And you know what? If I shit myself, I shit myself. Who cares?
Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah.
Everyone shits themselves at some point.
Yeah.
Well, on that topic of poisoning and people who may suffer from toxophobia, this week's episode, and of course, listeners already know because they've seen the
title of the episode. Yeah.
But for Kate, this is your first time. I am doing an episode on industrial disasters.
Erin Brockovich, welcome to the waiting room. Please sit down. Lizzie Truss has a cup of tea for you with a very healthy boiled water from a location that is toxin-free.
Yeah, and you can definitely get into an argument with Margie Thatcher. I feel like you...
Oh, you two have a lot to talk about. So get cozy. Yeah. Get cozy, Dal. Actually, Lizzie, get the crocheted blanket out. She's getting the crocheted blanket.
Okay, so when we think of actual large-scale tragedies or disasters that aren't natural in design, so unlike tsunamis, volcanoes, earthquakes, right? Mm-hmm. We've done some stories on those.
We have.
We will definitely be doing more because there's so many. Yeah. But our minds kind of wander to days like 9/11 or when corporations, businesses, some entity do something really dodgy and disaster strikes.
BP, jumping a mind. I might be jumping ahead here, but I'm sure, regardless, if we bring it up, you're going to give us some sweet deets.
Yeah. So often thousands of innocent people may pay the price for greed or poor management. These are often referred to as industrial accidents.
Industrial accidents.
Yeah, they say accidents because accidents doesn't
suggest premeditation of it's homicide versus murder.
Right. Now, an industrial accident is a serious event that involves hazardous materials and that can have consequences for the surrounding population and environment, which is where HEPA comes in.
HEPA.
Depending on the nature of the products involved, the accident can take the form of a fire, an explosion, or the emission of toxic or radioactive material. So, Kate, what do you think are some of the worst industrial disasters of all time?
Well, I mean, the first one, and probably one of the biggest ones of the 90s, was the Springfield nuclear plant dumping their toxic nuclear waste into the pond and the three-eyed fish being created for the episode of The Simpsons. So that's one of the probably the biggest ones. And no doubt you're going to go in depth about the three-eyed fish. But no, I mentioned before BP oil spill jumps into my mind. I mean, Erin Brockovich jumps into mind. Don't know if that's a true story, but no doubt there is the true story that's based off. It was a true story. It was. Yes. It's a freaking biopic. Wilco. Oh my God. That. I'm so sorry, everyone. I apologize for that. It's embarrassing admission. Yes, that was a true story. So poisoning people's land and water and them getting all of the cancers and debilitating awful issues with their people and their friends and family. Those are probably the three that are springing to mind.
Well, I'm sure folks at home are also screaming things down the microphone at us as well.
Uh-huh.
But some other big name ones are the Exxon Valdez oil spill.
Exxon. Yeah.
That's right. That one hits a little close to home because of family relationships.
Yes, absolutely.
There was also Fukushima.
Oh.
Remember? That was a bit recent.
Yes.
Deepwater Horizon, another film that's been done.
Yep.
And quite well, which was an oil rig.
Yeah. I don't understand how they work still, by the way. I don't know how you build them. That's a whole other episode. Forget it. Okay. I'm going to write that down because I'm going to do an episode on that.
Do one. Deepwater Horizon is a fascinating story.
Okay.
And then probably one of the most famous ones is Chernobyl.
Oh, of course. Cherny.
Yeah, which... everyone knows relatively recently, there was the amazing telly series, which it is freaking iconic.
Yeah.
The everything about it. There's actually nothing wrong with it. It's the perfect TV show.
Perfect TV show. Do you know what got me was, and this is, I digress a touch, but I tend to do that. The David Attenborough documentary, and I've brought this up before, I'm certain of it because it's something that's always been with me. But David Attenborough was talking about our planet and about how, stuff happens and, we're ruining it, basically. And whilst he was filming that, he was filming it at Chernobyl. So he was doing all of his interviewee, this is what happens, blah, blah, blahs. And essentially, the message at the end was, whilst he was sort of walking around and showing you how the Earth had grown around Chernobyl. So there was now an ecosystem, there was now animals, there was now wildlife, flora, fauna, and everything that was growing at Chernobyl. No doubt that took a very, very long time after what had happened there and all that sort of stuff. But the end message that he finished with, and whilst you were looking at all this incredible, plantation and vegetation growth, animals, deers running around, all of that sort of stuff, he basically just said, if we don't stop doing what we're doing, the planet will find a way to kill us so that then it can regenerate itself like it has done here at Chernobyl.
Nice.
So it'll figure it out. If you keep melting down nuclear plants, it'll kill you off. It'll move you away from wherever it needs you to move away from, make it uninhabitable for human beings, and then it will just regenerate itself. So it was so powerful. I was like, you know what? Yeah, you're onto something there, D. Attenborough. I think you know your shit.
Mother Nature rules.
Yep. She'll figure out a way.
Life will find a way.
It will find a way.
Well, I've gone through a bit of a list of some of the more known or well-known
big ones, the
industrial
doozies.
Accidents. But there's one, Kate, there's one that just has never probably gotten as much airtime and is not as commonly known, but it is by far the worst industrial disaster that's ever been.
Was it not as sexy as the other ones?
It makes Chernobyl look like a picnic. Is that not a line from a movie? Thank you very much.
Oh, fantastic. I love that. What movie, though? I'm going to look that up.
Okay, so while you look that up, I'm going to introduce you to I'm assuming you've never heard of it, and folks at home, but this is the
it's been a build-up.
Yeah, the Bhopal Disaster.
Okay. B-O-P-O-L?
B-H-O-P-A-L.
Okay.
All right, let's get into it. We've got lots to get through, folks. So, on December 3rd, 1984, more than 40 tons of methyl isocyanate gas leaked from a pesticide plant in Bhopal, India, immediately killing at least 3,800 people and causing significant morbidity and premature death for many thousands more.
Okay.
The company involved in what became the worst industrial accident in human history immediately tried to disassociate itself from any legal responsibility.
Right. So it goes, no, we did it. It wasn't us.
Eventually, it reached a settlement with the Indian government through mediation of the country's Supreme Court and accepted moral responsibility. It paid $470 million in compensation, a relatively small amount based on significant underestimations of the long-term health consequences of exposure and the number of people exposed. And the disaster indicated a need for enforceable international standards for environmental safety, preventative strategies to avoid similar accidents, and industrial disaster preparedness.
Okay.
Huge.
It's massive.
It's massive. This thing is pretty much was everything. It's intense. So let's get into it. In the 1970s, the Indian government initiated policies to encourage foreign companies to invest in local industry. Sounds like a good idea.
Great start.
Union Carbide Corporation, or UCC, was asked to build a plant for the manufacture of Sevin, as in Sevin, which is a pesticide commonly used throughout Asia.
This sounds like something in Far Cry 6. Like I just played. They do. Theirs is all about pesticides and whatnot. Yes. Okay, Sevin.
As part of the deal, India's government insisted that a significant percentage of the investment come from local shareholders. Sounds pretty good too.
Okay.
The government itself had a 22% stake in the company's subsidiary Union Carbide India Limited, UCIL, and the company built the plant in Bhopal because of its central location and access to transport infrastructure. The specific site within the city was zoned for light industrial and commercial use, not for hazardous industry.
Red flag.
The plant was initially approved only for formulation of pesticides from component chemicals such as MIC, imported from the parent company in relatively small quantities. However, pressure from competition in the chemical industry led to UCIL to implement backward integration. That's in quotation marks. Which is the manufacture of raw materials and intermediate products for formulation of the final product with one facility. This was inherently a more sophisticated and hazardous process. So, in 1984, the plant was manufacturing Sevin at 1/4 of its production capacity due to decreased demand for pesticides. Widespread crop fails and famine on the subcontinent in the 1980s led to increased indebtedness and decreased capital for farmers to invest in pesticides.
Yeah, fair enough.
So local managers were directed to close the plant and prepare it for sale in July 1984 due to decreased profitability. When no ready buyer was found, UCIL made plans to dismantle key production units of the facility for shipment to another developing country.
Right.
In the meantime, the facility continued to operate with safety equipment and procedures far below the standards found in its sister plant in Institute, West Virginia.
Okay.
The local government was aware of safety problems but was reticent to place heavy industrial safety and pollution control burdens on the struggling industry because it feared the economic effects of the loss of such a large employer.
Yeah, definitely. They're just like, we'll just lower the standards here so that we can keep the plant running. Because it's expensive to be safe.
It sure is. Yeah. And they don't want this place to close down completely because
of the jobs and all of that sort of stuff. Of course. Okay.
But as we know, where shortcuts are made,
disasters happen.
So, at 11 p.m. exactly on December 2nd, 1984, while most of the 1 million residents of Bhopal slept, an operator at the plant noticed a small leak of methyl isocyanate, MIC, gas, and increasing pressure inside a storage tank. The vent gas scrubber, a safety device designed to neutralize toxic discharge from the MIC system, had been turned off 3 weeks prior.
And nobody noticed that.
Yeah, 3 whole freaking
Wow.
weeks.
They definitely needed someone with a clipboard just to be like, is the bad fan switched on? Because we need the bad things to be fanned out of here. Oh, no.
Why is that not whirring?
Been turned off. Yeah. Why is it quiet in here? It's very silent. I don't know. Anybody hear that like hissing sound? It seems weird. Carol, do you want to go and get a sandwich for lunch? That's what I imagine's happening in that plant.
Yeah, there's lots of carols in
Heaps
India.
of so many carols. Oh, God, stop.
Now, apparently, a faulty valve had allowed 1 ton of water for cleaning internal pipes to mix with 40 tons of MIC.
Perfect. That sounds like I don't know anything about chemistry. That sounds great.
Not good.
Okay.
A 30-ton refrigeration unit that normally served as a safety component to cool the MIC storage tank had been drained of its coolant for use in another part of the plant. Pressure and heat from the vigorous exothermic reaction in the tank continued to build. The gas flare safety system was out of action and had been for 3 whole months.
Oh, damn. I thought it was going to be 3 weeks again, but no, this is like...
Yeah. So you know those flares that pop up?
Yeah, yeah.
They're a safety thing. And if you see the flare going, that's not a good thing. It's a bad thing. It means like something's not right. They've got a
Yeah.
You don't want flares happening. Like that's not a good thing.
Okay.
All right. So at around 1 a.m., December 3rd, loud rumbling reverberated around the plant as a safety valve gave way, sending a plume of MIC gas into the early morning air.
Oh.
Within hours, the streets of Bhopal were littered with human corpses and the carcasses of buffaloes, cows, dogs, and birds.
Oh, so this shit's properly toxic.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
An estimated 3,800 people died immediately, like instantaneously.
They're just walking around and then they're dead. Oh,
gone.
Wow. Oh, that's not good.
And
not good.
Of course, it was mostly in the poor slum colony adjacent to the UCC plant.
Of course.
Local hospitals were soon overwhelmed with the injured, a crisis further compounded by a lack of knowledge of exactly what gas was involved and what its effects were.
Of course. It's not like they had a planned preparation for this if something was like this was supposed to happen. They turned the fan off for 3 weeks. They're not going to send any documentation to the hospital in the event of an accident.
Yeah, oops, we made a boo-boo.
Whoopsies.
So it became one of the worst chemical disasters in history, and the name Bhopal became synonymous with industrial catastrophe.
Yeah.
So, estimates of the number of people killed in the first few days by the plume from the UCC plant run as high as 10,000, with 15 to 20,000 premature deaths reportedly occurring in the subsequent 2 decades. The Indian government reported that more than 500,000 people, that's 500,000 people, folks, were exposed to the gas. Several epidemiological studies conducted soon after the accident showed significant morbidity and increased mortality in the exposed population. I have to say, it is likely that the data captured underrepresents massively the true extent of adverse health effects because many exposed individuals left Bhopal immediately following the disaster, never to return, and were therefore lost to follow up.
Right.
So they just fucked off.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I probably would too.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah,
but none of that was captured.
Yeah, okay. So the data is not solid.
No.
We like some solid data. Their data is as useful as the safety switch that stopped working.
The non-existent fan.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so aftermath. Immediately after the disaster, UCC began attempts to disassociate itself from responsibility for the gas leak. Its principal tactic was to shift culpability to UCIL, stating the plant was wholly built and operated by the Indian subsidiary.
Right.
It also fabricated scenarios involving sabotage by previously unknown Sikh extremist groups and disgruntled employees, but this theory was impugned by numerous independent sources.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah.
Like, fuck off.
Just stop trying to throw everyone else under the bus, you clowns. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Now, the toxic plume had barely cleared when on December 7th, 4 days later, the first multi-billion-dollar lawsuit was filed by an American attorney in a US court.
Right.
This was the beginning of years of legal machinations in which the ethical implications of the tragedy and its effect on Bhopal's people were largely ignored.
Do you know why it was like, because obviously there was another company in the States. So, as in for the same sort of thing that they were making and whatnot. So, is that where that from the American attorney has come from? Where they just hear on the grapevine, or they've just gone, "This is big, I'm in."
It's probably one person or a handful of Americans died.
Yeah, right. Understood.
Type thing.
Yeah, okay. And then they've just gone, "What?
Yeah.
Sue them."
Let's get in on it.
Yeah, yeah.
In March 1985, the Indian government enacted the Bhopal Gas Leak Disaster Act as a way of ensuring that claims arising from the accident would be dealt with speedily and equitably.
Right.
The act made the government the sole representative of the victims in legal proceedings both within and outside of India. So eventually all cases were taken out of the US legal system under the ruling of the presiding American judge and placed entirely under Indian jurisdiction, much to the detriment of the injured parties.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Because if they're already trying to shirk responsibility, it's not like they're going to get a fair settlement for anybody who's impacted by that, in my very generalized opinion. But it's not good.
Not a great look.
No.
So in a settlement mediated by the Indian Supreme Court, UCC accepted moral responsibility and agreed to pay $470 million to the Indian government to then be distributed to the claimants as a full and final settlement. The figure was partly based on the disputed claim that only 3,000 people died and 102,000 suffered permanent disabilities.
Wrong.
Upon announcing the settlement, shares of UCC rose $2 per share or 7% in value.
What?
Yeah.
What's wrong with people?
Had compensation in Bhopal been paid at the same rate that asbestos victims had been awarded in US courts by a defendant, including UCC, which, by the way, they mined asbestos from 1963 to 1985, the liability...
Track record solid.
Right? So the liability would have been greater than $10 billion.
Right.
Okay. And the company was worth and insured for in 1984. So by the end of October 2003, according to the Bhopal Gas Tragedy Relief and Rehabilitation Department, compensation had been awarded to over 500,000 people for injuries received and to 15,000 survivors of those killed.
Right. That
equated to the average amount to families of the dead was about $2,200.
Stop.
Yeah.
That doesn't even cover the bar tab at the wake.
Yeah, and this, well, one of the there's 600 articles out there about this, by the way. Like, there's so much information to comprehend.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to condense this into an hour, which is just not even humanly possible. There are articles and articles like the effects and the aftermath is still being felt for generations and generations. There's so much community work. There's so many updates legally, like people not being paid. All this other it's just fucked.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fucked. They got away with it pretty much as the summary.
The consensus. Yeah. Far out.
But anyway, we're not getting into too much of that legal stuff because that's just depressing.
So, yeah, exactly.
So, at every turn, UCC has attempted to manipulate, obfuscate, and withhold scientific data to the detriment of victims. Even to this date, the company has not stated exactly what was in the toxic cloud that enveloped the city on the December night.
Even to today, like they're not even saying.
Yeah.
Did anybody get like a little, I don't know, one of those little sticks that you can wee on and check your pH levels? Just wave one of those around in the air. Oh, no, it's bad. It's bad.
When MIC, the gas or whatever it is exposed to 200 degrees heat, it forms degraded MIC that contains the more deadly hydrogen cyanide. So if people, it's hard to imagine what this does and what it's like. Think of cyanide.
Great.
Okay.
I don't know that I'm able to liken that to any of my activities I've done before in terms of cyanide, but I know that's bad.
James Bond?
Yeah.
Cyanide they would always
pill.
break a tooth pills and they'd froth at the mouth and they'd be dead in like seconds. It's fucking bad.
Okay.
It's what like bioterrorism and like stuff. You're going to kill people, just knock it, dead with cyanide. Not that we're encouraging that. Anyway, there was clear evidence that the storage tank temperature did reach this level in the disaster. The cherry red color of blood and viscera of some victims were characteristic of acute cyanide poisoning.
Yeah.
Moreover, many responded well to administration of sodium thiosulfate, an effective therapy for cyanide poisoning, but not MIC exposure.
Oh, okay.
UCC initially recommended use of sodium thiosulfate, but withdrew the statement, later prompting suggestions that it attempted to cover up evidence of the cyanide, HCN, in the gas leak.
Right.
So they could have been trying to hide it, because if they suggested it, then this would,
make
obviously...
make it that they knew what it is. So if you're suggesting a way to cure something, you must know what it is that you're trying to cure.
Mm-hmm. The other thing is that if they got it wrong, then they could be liable again.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
The presence of HCN was vigorously denied by UCC and was a point of conjecture among researchers. Don't go fully into the science here, but I believe because it was like a gaseous cloud, or it's hard to scientifically prove the levels of something at a point in time, because it was gas and then it just I think it was very sudden and then it disappeared very, very quickly. So it's not like radioactivity like in Chernobyl where you could measure the intensity of something and work that out. Whereas this was think of it as a giant cyanide fart and it just fucking killed lots of people real quick, smart. And if you got a bit of the fart on you...
If you got crop dusted, you were fucking dead.
That's what I could equate it to.
I love it. I really enjoy that version. It makes it very clear for me that I can relate to.
As further insult, UCC discontinued operation at its Bhopal plant following the disaster, but failed to clean up the industrial site completely. The plant continues to leak several toxic chemicals and heavy metals that have found their way into local aquifers, which dangerously contaminated water has now been added to the legacy left by the company for the people of Bhopal.
Shut it down.
Yeah, this ain't over. It's still happening.
Oh, far out. Okay.
And what I've learned at EPA, working at EPA, EPA is absolutely fascinating what these regulatory bodies do and how they partner with, small businesses, what they call duty holders, to really, really teach them and really think about what the, immediate, midterm, long-term effects are of things doing. It's really quite fascinating.
Yeah.
And they're not like eco-warrior. I think everyone would think that they're hardcore eco-warrior people, and I'm sure some of them are, but they're science-based, science-based things. Whenever there's a bushfire in Australia or a truck flips over and spills paint everywhere or whatever, EPA is they're the folk.
They're all over
and it's not politically motivated. It's purely, it's science.
governmental.
It's really quite fascinating.
That's
Anyway,
so cool.
so what are the lessons learned from Bhopal?
Please tell
Now,
me.
the events in Bhopal revealed that expanding industrialization in developing countries without concurrent evolution in safety regulations could have catastrophic.
They will have catastrophic effects. Can I just pause you just for a moment, Dom?
You can.
Before you begin again with catastrophic. I have a plant in my study.
Mm.
I'll turn that. See? Plant.
Lovely.
Thank you. That plant has attracted some of those dumb fly things.
Little gnats.
Gnats! That fucking gnats! And there are currently 2 of them in here, and they're driving me absolutely batty. And every time I get close to squishing it, it's gone. And I don't know if it's 2 or if it's just the same one giving me the shits. So if at any point I just sort of stop and seem distracted, it's because it's within my eye sight. I just didn't want you to think I wasn't paying full attenzione. Continue with your catastrophic effects.
Kate has lost the plot.
Just it's giving me the absolute shit. Get out of here. I need to get one of those sprays, one of those little fly sticks that go in my plant.
If the soil is too moist and wet up top, that is a breeding ground for gnats.
Probably that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just get them below dryer out.
Now, the disaster demonstrated that seemingly local problems of industrial hazards and toxic contamination are often tied to global market dynamics. Obviously. UCC's 7 production plant was built in Madhya Pradesh not to avoid environmental regulation in the US, but to exploit the large and growing Indian pesticide market. However, the manner in which the project was executed suggests the existence...
Oh, I got it. Sorry.
You got it?
Got it, you little fuckwit. Get out of here.
Not here to fuck flies.
I'm here to squash them. I do apologise. I did warn you it was coming, and it came right into my eyesight, and I fucking got him. Bam!
If there's another one, folks, we know what's going on.
That's it. Oh, sorry.
Now, however, the manner in which the project was executed suggests the existence of a double standard for multinational corporations operating in developing countries.
Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, enforceable uniform international operating regulations for hazardous industries would have provided a mechanism for significantly improved safety in Bhopal.
Yeah.
Even without enforcement, international standards could provide norms for measuring performance of individual companies engaged in hazardous activities such as the manufacture of Pestify.
We're Pestify here. At least if there was regulations, industrial regulations across the board, somebody would have had a fucking clipboard that said, make sure the fan's on. Tick.
Yeah.
That's all it would have taken. Well,
we've done this in other areas, right?
Exactly.
For other things.
Yeah, we feel like a fan that is turned on for 3 weeks is an important factor in this plant running effectively before you kill everybody with a ginormous, poisonous fart.
And of course, like corporations are going to go where everything is cheaper, and it's just shocking because that just means that all responsibility, accountability, everything, all it does, worst case scenario is you got bad PR.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
I mean, that can be bad, but still,
but
you didn't kill anyone.
You didn't kill
You're just associated with
you didn't kill anybody with an article in the Daily News or whatever it's called. Yeah.
So, local governments clearly cannot allow industrial facilities to be situated within urban areas, regardless of the evolution of land use over time. Industry and government need to bring proper financial support to local communities so they can provide medical and other necessary services to reduce morbidity, mortality, and other material loss in the case of industrial accidents. So, by the way, public health infrastructure was very weak in Bhopal in 1984. Tap water was available for only a few hours a day and was very poor quality.
Mm-hmm.
With no functioning sewage system, untreated human waste was dumped into 2 nearby lakes. One, a source of drinking water, And the city had 4 major hospitals, but there was a shortage of physicians and hospital beds. There was also no mass casualty emergency response system in place in the city. Like, fuck me.
As a shit list of how to manage this situation, it's this poor place, this poor city has just, they're ticking every shit box.
The people suffer because of
the infrastructure of what's set up around them.
Yeah. Okay, so since 1984, following the events, environmental awareness and activism in India increased significantly. The Environment Protection Act was passed in 1986. Another great year.
Yes, 86. Pestify.
Pestify. Love that. That's a
so
great
good.
word. Creating the Ministry of Environment and Forests, MOEF, and strengthening India's commitment to the environment. Under the new act, the MOEF was given overall responsibility for administering and enforcing environmental laws and policies. It established the importance of integrating environmental strategies into all industrial development plans for that country. However, despite greater government commitment to protect public health, forests and wildlife, policies geared to developing the country's economy have taken precedence in the last 20 years. So India, as we all know, has undergone tremendous economic growth in the last 2 decades since the Bhopal disaster, even since 3 decades.
Yeah.
Rapid industrial development has contributed greatly to economic growth, but there has been significant cost in environmental degradation and increased public health risks. With the industrial growth since 1984, there has been an increase in small-scale industries that are clustered about major urban areas in India. There are generally less stringent rules for the treatment of waste produced by these small businesses due to less waste generation,
overall.
Just comparatively. This has allowed those small industries to dispose of untreated wastewater into drainage systems that flow directly into rivers. New Delhi's Yamuna River is illustrative. Dangerously high levels of heavy metals such as lead, cobalt, cadmium, chrome, nickel, and zinc have been detected in this river, which is a major supply of potable water to India's capital, thus posing like it is a potential health risk to the people living there and areas downstream.
Yeah.
Like it's land pollution due to uncontrolled disposal of industrial solid and hazardous waste is also a problem throughout India. With rapid industrialization, the generation of industrial solid and hazardous waste has increased appreciably, and the environmental impact is significant. Oh my goodness, it's intense.
That's
it's ridiculous.
So much. Yeah.
So just to give you a couple examples. Well, no, I'll give you one.
Yeah, give us one. I've got that line too. I found it from the film. Yeah. I found it.
Save it and you can, because I haven't come up with a
I've got it and you're going to love it. You're going to love it. I was thrilled to see what it was.
So in March 2001, residents of Kodaikanal in southern India, I totally butchered that by the way.
No, it's perfect.
In southern India, caught the Anglo-Dutch company Unilever, which we all know, red-handed when they discovered a dump site with toxic mercury-laced waste from a thermometer factory run by the company's Indian subsidiary, Hindustan Lever.
Ooh, busted.
I know, real bad. Mercury is not cool.
Oh, shit. Mercury just coming in here, getting a bad rap. That's some bad PR for Mercury.
Mm-hmm. The 7.4-ton stockpile of mercury-laden glass was found in torn stacks spilling into the ground in a scrap metal yard located near a school.
Leave the schools alone.
Yeah. In the fall of 2001, steel from the ruins of the World Trade Center was exported to India, apparently without first being tested for contamination from asbestos and heavy metals present in the Twin Tower debris.
Let's just send it there. Don't test it. Just send it. Mercury is bad. That's what we've learned.
Other examples of poor environmental stewardship and economic considerations taking precedence over public health concerns are abound. Like, you think of Erin Brockovich, Kate.
Yeah, which I have regularly.
That is nothing compared to, and I'm not trying to throw India on the bus here, by the way. Like, yes, Indian government is very responsible about all of this, but so are all of Western society sending
And the
shit over
companies
there.
are exactly right.
And you think Erin Brockovich is bad? It is nothing to the multiple examples of shit that's happening in countries like India.
Yeah.
That what you buy at the supermarket or, other things are very big contributors to this shit.
Yeah.
And just because, they're where they are, we don't hear about it. So
Yeah.
you think Erin Brockovich is a big deal?
Well, it just goes to show the fact that, you said to me, what are some of the natural disasters that you're aware of? Not natural disasters, the industrial accidents that you're aware of that have made front page nyaz. And this is not even close. I've never heard of this before in my life. Again, not surprising for me. I get it. But at the same time, I've never heard of this ever. So, yeah.
Like, another example, just quickly, is aggressive marketing of asbestos continues in developing countries as a result of restrictions being placed on its use in developed nations.
Yeah.
Because we all know it's well established there was a link between asbestos products and respiratory diseases.
Uh-huh.
So everyone in Western or, whatever, well-established countries or whatever you want to call them, they get it. So asbestos is being like spruiked to all these developing countries.
Yeah.
So guess what? India has become a major consumer using around 100,000 tons of asbestos per year.
No.
80% of which is imported, with Canada being the largest overseas supplier.
Canada. Don't.
Mining, production and use of asbestos in India is very loosely regulated despite the health hazards. Reports have shown morbidity and mortality from asbestos-related disease will continue in India without enforcement of a ban or significantly tighter controls. Like,
it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
Okay.
I think,
anyway,
can I just say as well, I really do think, and I know you've probably already done it and you've done all the work on it, but it would be remiss if we didn't call this episode Pestify. So if you can do that, I feel like you should.
Okay, let's do it. Just so we don't make it too easy for folks to know what it
Exactly.
is
Then they'll have to listen to it. They're like, that's why it's called this. There is, on your the note of asbestos, Dom, here in Australia at the moment, there's a recent commercial a residential and commercial building issue that's come up, which is asbestos 2.0 almost, and it's silica, and it's bench tops and things and faux marble looking benches made from silica products. And when these products are cut, which they need to be, so for example, use it as a bench top, they have to cut out the spot for the sink. Again, hadn't been regulated, no warnings, no nothing. And obviously with a lot of building materials and things, it's wear goggles, wear a mask, wear gloves, wear earphone thing, blah, 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 whatever. But there's so many builders and stuff out there that had been going ahead and making these products and kitchens and bathrooms and all that, cutting the silica products, and it's the same sort of effects of cancer and respiratory illness and things like that. And that came to light again, and you just think there's so much wrong with keeping that sort of stuff from these professionals that are doing this and not giving them the information that they're allowed. If you give them all the warnings, give them all the information, give them the regulations, and they choose to ignore them, different thing. If you are aware that this is toxic and poisonous and whatnot, and you don't wear a mask or safety protection or anything, that's on you. But give people enough information, give people an understanding of what's going on. And then, it sucks because these companies make this shit. They don't do the proper tests. They don't do the regulations. And then people who are just trying to earn a fucking living are the ones who get knocked out.
Well, yeah, that's so much part of this is that these are countries that are developing.
Yeah.
They don't have the luxury
of
being, they're often put in a position where they have to do things unsafely because that, or it's don't eat.
Exactly. And I'm happy to sit on my high horse about this. Or, as the gentleman sitting behind me at the football a few weeks ago said, I'll sit firmly on my hobby horse about this situation.
Oh, God.
I struggled not to turn around and go, you mean high horse, you fucking idiot. Not hobby horse. Hobby horse is like a little rocket horse. That's not what it's at.
Stupid.
Okay.
All right. Let's finish this episode.
All right.
Now, UCC has shrunk to 1/6 of its size since the Bhopal disaster in an effort to restructure and divest itself.
Yeah.
By doing so, the company avoided a hostile takeover, placed a significant portion of UCC's assets out of legal reach of the victims, and gave its shareholder and top executives bountiful profits and bonuses.
Of course they did.
The company still operates under the ownership of Dow Chemicals and still states on its website that the Bhopal disaster was caused by deliberate sabotage.
That's a lie.
So, by the way, Dow Chemicals, American.
Yep.
And still, this company, subsidiary, whatever you want to call it, can get away with denying and saying this was caused by deliberate sabotage.
Deliberate sabotage. Just anyone they feel like did it.
Yeah.
It was probably Carol. Let's be honest.
Don't trust
She went out
Carol.
and got her goddamn sandwiches and forgot about all of it.
All right. In conclusion, the tragedy of Bhopal continues to be a warning sign at once ignored and heeded. Bhopal and its aftermath were a warning that the path to industrialization for developing countries in general, and India in particular, is fraught with human, environmental, and economic perils. Some moves by the Indian government, including the formation of the MOEF, have served to offer some protection of the public's health from the harmful practices of local and multinational heavy industry and grassroots organizations that have also played a part in opposing rampant development. The Indian economy is growing at a tremendous rate, but at significant cost in environmental health and public safety, as large and small companies throughout the subcontinent continue to pollute. Far more remains to be done for public health in the context of industrialization to show that the lessons of the countless thousands dead in Bhopal have truly been heeded.
Oh.
And that is the end of my episode.
Yes, Dominic.
Yas, Queen.
Yes, Queen. Pestify.
Pestify.
Okay.
I love that word.
Same. I've been hanging on to this for this whole episode. So, Thank God for that. I'm going to play it. I'm going to see if it plays. We'll see. It's on some Navi website, so I don't know if it's going to play, but here we go.
To make Chernobyl look like picnic.
I'm going to play that again. It's enough plutonium to make Chernobyl look like picnic.
There's enough plutonium to make Chernobyl look like picnic.
Can you name that film?
It sounds so familiar.
Can I give you a hint?
Yes.
Okay. There is one admiral, one general, and then two other Navy guys in the room as this is being said.
Is it a James Bond film?
Yes, it goddamn is.
Yeah, I can't remember which one it is. I think it's the Pierce Brosnan one. Maybe.
Yes, it is.
It's either GoldenEye or The World Is Not Enough.
Tomorrow Never Dies, but you were so
Dies.
close, which is arguably like one of my favorites. 1997, Tomorrow Never Dies, Pierce Brosnan, Michelle Yeoh, who is
the best.
So that's it. There's enough plutonium to make Chernobyl look like picnic. Very good.
Yeah, it was obviously ingrained in my mind.
Yeah.
And by the way, they're doing the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra are doing a thing of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Oh my gosh!
In honor of Michelle Yeoh for her recent Academy win.
Yes,
they're going to play the movie and have all that score, which is probably my favorite movie score of all time.
Wow!
So I think I'm going to go by myself because
do it. Just live it and enjoy it. It's one of those things that you can just sit and appreciate. I did that for Love Actually. Different thing, different style, but exquisite. Yeah. Dom, well done. I'm so proud of you. That was so good. I have decided my episode for next week. Do you want me to give you a little teaser?
Yeah, give our folks a teaser, and then I'll give folks a teaser for the extra bonus episode as well.
So my little teaser for next week, and it actually ties in really well with what you've been talking about, Dom. But I'm actually going to delve into the murky underworld of government experiments.
Love it.
So we're going to have a look at that. It could be a two-parter. Upon preliminary research, there's a possibility it's going to be a two-parter. So stick with us. But Dom, what have you got for the people? Talk to me. Tease me.
Okay, just a reminder, remember I did an episode on the Stanford experiment, which is it's a really, really good one, but there's so many more to do.
Absolutely. And I'm usually like a multi-story kind of gal, so I might even just do some little tidbits, some this, some that, but it's a fascinating topic.
Yeah. So, folks, if you want to stick around, which you totes want to, I've got a really cool, again, environmentally focused disaster, which I guarantee you've probably never heard of before. And we're on the brink of actual catastrophic end of the world level disaster, and people just don't even know about it. And this one is really real and present. So stick around or go listen to our Brickinet episode, because you need to be a Patreon to do that.
Well,
so
that's right. Sneaky deaky. Cost you $5 entry, but you won't regret it. Can't wait, Dom. I'll talk to you soon. To our regular listeners, love you.
Bye-bye.